Sure. Yeah, so I'm Mike Ackerman, a freelance artist living here in the city. And I'm going to talk to you tonight about art direction, because it's something that I love. Games are really awesome because they kind of encapsulate any kind of art form that we've already created, and it adds interactivity, right? And so when creating a game or a piece of media, each of these aspects that we incorporate into this thing that we're creating should be a pillar for the overall experience, right? It should support the entire thing. And art is no different. I have a couple examples here of games I think do a really good job doing that. The first one is Limbo. Has anyone here played Limbo? Yeah, it's a great game. It looks and feels kind of like Depression. Every time I sit down to play it, it's kind of like, why am I playing this more? This really hurts, but I want to keep going. It's really well made, right? And visually, as far as things that make it really successful in achieving that are, there's no colors. Everything's black and white. It's got this fuzzy like film grain. Everything's very soft and granular. Playing the game and the art are also kind of like cumbersome. Like when you try to jump, it's almost like you can almost make it, but not quite. A couple more examples here. The world also feels really empty, which helps with the feeling of you're alone. Everything's kind of worn out and broken, like the hotel sign here. Again, just empty space, right? The next game I think that does a really good job is Flower. I personally really love this game. Playing the game is really interesting because when you play it versus watching someone else play it, you don't really get it. But as soon as you pick up the controller and start controlling it yourself, you understand. And the art style kind of complements that like simplicity and beauty that the game, the overall experience kind of encompasses. You're essentially playing as a gust of wind, controlling a bunch of flower petals, right? Pretty beautiful. Journey also does a really good job of this. It's kind of quiet and somber, and it's all about like exploration. And so as you travel through the game, the art also changes and does a good job of making you feel like you're exploring this vast world. The next game is Darksiders. I think it did a particularly good job. The game is visceral, right? Everything looks like it's made out of knuckles. And there are certain aspects in the game that do a good job of this too. Like when you go to open up the door, you have to mash the button. It's just like pulling it apart. So I think Darksiders did a really great job. I absolutely love the aesthetic. It's kind of larger than life, right? Like everything's much larger and exaggerated. I think TF2 also did a really great job. I think this is probably one of the better ones. When you play TF2, you're running around and it's like kind of comical because everything's moving so fast. But at the same time, you're killing people and there's blood going everywhere. And so the aesthetic, the art direction for TF2 does a really good job of kind of explaining that like juxtaposition of like, yeah, it's fun and running around, but we're also killing people. And they just crank that up 150% and take full advantage of it. And this next image, I think, kind of explains like what it's like, right? Just goofy around, it's not right. And then the next game is VVVVVV, which it's super simple. Has anyone here played it? Yeah, right. That's a good amount. I really love this game. It's super simple. You can't even jump. You change gravity. That's how you essentially jump. And the art direction also does a really good job of kind of keeping it really simple. Really, this is like pretty much everything in the game, right? Like you've got the characters chat boxes and in the environment.
What part is dangerous?
The V's, right?
Okay.
Like the red things. And also, as far as like the greater experience thing, I also find that the title is really great because like, the whole mechanic is jumping up and down, and the V's turn into spikes either direction. So yeah. So if any of you guys haven't played any of these games, you should go check them out. It's all really great. Let's see what else I have on here for you guys. So the next thing is, considering art direction as more than a skin. There are some games that just like slap an art style on something, or like, oh, like this is good because it's in right now. But really, you should be using your art as a tool to forward the experience of your entire game. Some of the questions you can ask yourself are, like, what does the game feel like, and how can you make the visuals reflect that? Or is there a way that creating a juxtaposition between how the game feels and how the game looks, does that forward your experience? Yeah, that's my presentation on art direction. Thanks.